Hello, everyone. This is JD Calderon, and this is Indie Comics Explained. And yet again, I have another fantastic guest. But before I bring him in, please hit like, hit subscribe, share out the link to the video. Let everybody know that we're consistently bringing brand new indie creators on all the time. So before we get to that, please check it out. There's currently an Oswald Chronicles Kickstarter going on, so if you want to go check those out, these are the books being offered. The Oswald Chronicles of Clapton. But that's enough about me. Let's talk about our great guest. Here we go. And we have Mark Darden.
Oh, hey guys. How's it going? Mark Darden here, creator of the Guano Guy. Thanks for tuning in. How's it going, JD?
How you doing? How you doing, Mark?
I'm doing well. Anything new going on in your life?
Well, you know, same thing like you, Kickstarter.
Kickstarter.
Right?
There's a lot of people getting in on Kickstarter right now.
That's right.
I don't know if you guys know this. Todd McFarlane did a new Spawn figure. I got in on that. That was on Kickstarter.
Nice.
Scott Snyder is on Kickstarter.
Yeah. Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves is on Kickstarter.
That's right.
With Boom Studios.
With Boom Studios, that's right.
And I probably will pronounce it. Yeah. And there's a writer attached. Now I was going to pronounce
Matt Kint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's helpful.
Yeah, Matt Kint, let me tell you, perhaps I feel the best superhero writer not working at the big two. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if you've ever read any of the stuff that he did at Valiant. Exo Man of War, he did.
Yeah, that's one of those where I know the work better than I know the name, and he did do a very good job on Exo Man of War.
Yeah, and he did Ninjak, you know, before he became Ninja Kate.
Honestly, as a guy who loved Valiant, the way they restarted it, they were able to take like what was done before and come out with it better. Like knowing what you know now and having seen what the other guys did, they were able to repeat the steps, some of them, but do them better, new and improved. I was quite impressed when I read it.
Those guys over there, they just hired really good writers. They had him, they had Jeff Lemire, they had a bunch of other dudes, really good writers, and some ladies. You know, but there was a group of them. Valiant's nice and all, but you know, forget about those guys. We're here to talk about Mark Darden. We're here to talk about Guano Guy.
Absolutely.
Right. So, let me ask you this: what was the first comic, right, that inspired you to become an independent publisher?
That's not easy. I don't know if there was a specific comic that did it. I mean, I liked so many comics. I can say there are comics at times where when, you know, wanting to do the Guano Guy, not an easy sell. You know, even people who liked me, who were in comics, were you know, would look at it and be like, yeah, you know, good for you. And I could tell like they were thinking that's not gonna work. They didn't want to say it. You know?
The eyes glazed over.
Yeah, it's not, you know, and comedy in comics is not an easy sell either.
Right.
Not as many people. I mean, you take like a comic like The Tick. I love it, and a lot of people did end up doing it, and it got on TV and whatnot. But generally, that kind of comic's tough to get out there. And I can say that when I was having some doubts sometimes, and I was reading over like The Goon, and I was like, I mean, if that guy's, you know, his artwork is great and all, but I was looking at like the ridiculousness of it. I'm like, you know what? If people will read this and have fun with the kind of wacky stories he's doing, Guano Guy's got a chance.
Yeah. Albatross Funny Books. That's the name of his company.
Yeah, right now because he took it independent.
Yeah, just a quick plug for him.
Got a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, I think I've read every trade that they've released, and all of them have been good. I haven't read anything from that has not been good. Everything's been good. You know?
And he's expanded outward because there's additional books, stuff that, you know, he likes and believes in, but by other people.
Yeah, we keep veering off, Mark. This is about you. We want to talk about.
No, I do love comics. You know,
we both love comics. This is about you, Mark. I want to know about you. So Mark, so you all right? So you said the Tick is an inspiration for you. Did you have any other books that, like, maybe growing up that you looked at and you say, yeah, this was really cool?
Obviously, I was a huge Batman fan,
Mm.
giant Batman fan, still am.
Uh,
Also, it was a lot of cartoons played into it
right.
because I liked a lot of silly cartoons. I mean, Darkwing Duck was a lot of fun. There was a
Mm.
ton of great cartoons coming up in the 80s and the 90s that were so much fun. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, very inspirational. Um, there's so many comics. It's tough to like really pinpoint one
Well,
book. I mean, definitely, I've mentioned it, but it can't be
right.
overlooked. It's so good.
Oh no, it's an incredible book. So now you work with a number of different artists, right?
Yeah. Now, Alexander Unlin is
Mm.
the main guy.
Okay.
A few years ago, when I just like, I got to either make big progress on this book, really make something happen, or I need to be quiet about it and call it a day.
Right.
So I went on an artist search, and Alexander and I had met through Instagram, and I liked his stuff. He had his own book, Fly Dog Man. And so he also was doing a very ridiculous book with a lot of very funny stuff. And so I asked him, like, hey, would you do some Guano Guy stories? And so he did some, and I found artists in several different places and got a bunch of stories by a bunch of different people. All those came together to be issue 2.5. And then from that, like, when I got the third story back from Alexander, it was like, this is nice, this is a little better, bam. I saw the first page of the third story. I was like, "Oh, he's got it." Yeah, let me. And he's been having he loves the book. He has a lot of fun drawing it. I mean, I get notes from him where he's like, "Dude, I love doing this. I'll do it for as long as you let me do it." But great, because I got plenty more I want to put together. So he's the main guy.
Okay.
But there are every issue I like to do several short stories as well, so it's got an anthology feel. Like, you're going to get this main story, but then just a lot of little wacky 3-page stories where I can tell little fun little jokes in just a few pages, and have fun with the industry, have fun with the tropes. And so with those, I bring in other artists, and that allows us to have a bigger issue coming out without the one
your main guy
never having a day off.
Right. Now,
if you're reading it, you get a lot of fun styles, which is, I think there's a lot of value in that.
Nice. Now, when you're sitting down, you're writing your scripts and you're composing them, right? Are you doing like a straight up Marvel style, or are you doing a Marvel style where you're doing just a synopsis and then you're letting the artists go in, do their thing, you come in afterwards, write in your dialogue, or are you doing like DC style, where it's like panel 1, scene 1, 3/4 worm's eye, that sort of thing?
Yeah, I initially I worked very very tight, and I found that I was probably frustrating artists by throwing in too many details that they didn't really need. So then I started getting much looser, and so I'll use what I feel is best. If an artist is a new artist who I really haven't worked with before, I'm more likely to give them a panel by panel script, although not overly detailed. I don't want to tell them exact camera angle. I might suggest something just for like one panel where I feel like I need something specific, but I'm generally going to leave it up to them. One of the things I like to do is I'll tell them, like, I need this, here's the scene I need, and it's maybe 1 line or 2 or 3, but underneath I'll have, and here's things you could do, and it'll be a list. There might be 10 things on there, none of which are required. They're just like, here's ideas. And a lot of times they'll use a lot because none of them are required. So it's more inspirational. It's not like you have to do this. It's like read these and see if you like them. And then usually the last spot on the list says, or anything else you can think of along these, just take these ideas in and see what you come up with. Have fun. So I also write in numerous ways. If I've got if like the scene is inspired by the dialogue, and I'm going to have all that dialogue written out because that's really the gag, and then I come up with a scene to go with it. But sometimes visually the scene comes to me, so I'll write that and send that to the artist, and then come up with dialogue or the narration when I get it back. I don't like to get too fixated on what I've written because I often change once I get the art back. If the facial expressions lead me a different direction than what I was originally intending, I will adapt the story to what the artist is portraying.
Right.
We had a scene in the last book where it was supposed to, the issue 2 was supposed to end with Rita saying, "So, you're liking these stories," and her editor-in-chief going, "Yeah, this is great. Follow the Guano guy." But Alexander drew the chief just being like, "Ha, ha, ha," and so I rewrote it, and I was like, the chief's like, "The Guano guy? Nobody cares about him."
No, yeah.
So I just as like I'm trying to send writing that will inspire the artist to get their funnest, best stuff. When I get that art back, it's going to inspire me, and I'm going to adapt to things. Plus, if they draw something a certain way and it doesn't quite match what I need, it is much easier for me if I take a little bit of time to write something that fits what they've drawn than it is for me to write them back and be like, "Hey, I need you to change this." That's so much more work for them.
Oh, yeah.
So unless it's story breaking, I'd rather me figure out how it will all work out within what they've done.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, it's much easier to go with the flow.
Yeah, and I mean it's collaborative. I'm not here to be a monarch.
Wow.
It's a fun book. So.
Right. Some people like to be monarchs.
Yeah, I mean, sure, I'm Guano guy. It's my book, but at the same time, I still want everyone in the process like it's their book too. And if they've got some great idea that they drew, I'd much rather make that part of the story than try to take it away. That's no fun.
Got you. Now, what do you find to be like, I guess, one of the more difficult things that sometimes you have to express over to an artist? Because being a writer, we're two separate art forms that are mashing together, right? Mm-hmm. We have what I consider perhaps one of the most abstract forms of art, writing, right? Being given over to an illustrator to draw. So what is the thing that you find to be the most difficult to maybe express to an artist?
It's kind of interesting the way you just put it, because when you read a book, each person that reads that book is going to get something that's a little different because they're taking in this information and then picturing their version of it in their head. When I'm writing to an artist, that's the one reader that I'm really writing to. Right. And now it's how they picture it in their head, which again is kind of why I feel like it's better once I get it back to let how I pictured it go and run with how they pictured it. Of course, it's a little difficult when you do ask for a change, and that I like to try to be as delicate and as respectful as possible. Right. But something hard to tell them what I need. I don't know if I had that problem happen too much. Another thing I like to do is ask them what they like to do. So, for instance, if they hate drawing cars, but they love drawing rockets, well, then the story's going to have a rocket instead of a car.
Right. Gotcha.
If I get back from them like, "Oh, shoot, I'm not sure how to draw a car. I don't do that a lot, but I'll figure it out." No, don't bother. What do you? What are you into? Well, I've been drawing submarines. Then it happened on the water.
Gotcha. All right, that's cool. Now, at one time I asked an artist, my main artist, Jay Gonzalez, I asked her to draw. I said, the character, Oswald, he's going to snap his fingers, and his ancient god, he's going to reach through time and space, and he's going to snatch up this guy. And she was like, and I'm pretty sure she sat there saying, "I'm going to kill him." But she did it, though.
Now that you mention it, like I did have, and it hasn't come out, but I had a story where two souls switched bodies.
Right.
And I didn't have at the time a really good way to, like they came up with a way that they did it. But I feel like there could have been a much clearer way, but at the time I didn't have one. So looking back, that's one where I needed to take more time and think on it, although we were kind of in a rush. There was an opportunity to maybe get a book in with a company, and you had to have samples. So we were just in a rush to get that sample done in time to present. So yeah, soul switching bodies, that's a tough one.
Yeah. So once in a while, you come across these situations where you're just like, I don't know, but I'm gonna put it in there and see what happens.
Yeah, we and actually, it's the issue of the Warner guy that's coming up,
Mm-hmm.
issue 3. When initially I wrote the scene, I then messaged the artist back after it had been a little bit. I was like, this isn't fun enough. Like, this is too standard superhero. And I had an idea in mind, but I didn't mention it. And then it was Alexander. He said to me, well, what if, and I don't want to say what it is because it's in the book.
Right.
Read it. Actually, no, there's already a picture of it, so I can go ahead and tell you. But he was like, well, what if Guano had his own setup of puppets? And I was like, that's exactly what I was thinking. Let's do that. What if it was his sidekicks? Like, he's homaging to his own sidekicks who he's mistreated, yet lovingly has puppets of them.
Right.
So I like where those connections happen, where we had this simpatico moment of having the same humor. For the scene.
No, yeah. That's always a good thing when you're in tune with your artist like that. That's always awesome. That's why with, like I said, with my artist, I work with for a long time. So I don't know. Sometimes I do feel like she reads my mind.
Oh, so, sure. Yeah. I mean, because you think, if you've been working with somebody for a while, when you see certain things from them, you do kind of know where they go.
Yeah.
Even if you don't think about it, just instinctually, you know their rhythms, their thought patterns. I used to play in bands, and after I was in a band for a little bit, like if the guitarist is doing a solo, well, what people call a solo, we really mean a lead. Solos where you actually play by yourself, but
right.
But when they're doing the guitar lead, like I would be reacting to what they're like. I would already know kind of what they're gonna do, so I'd know when to do more and where to throw the big fill, and because I just kind of knew their playing style and could feel their energy. And so yeah, it's kind of, if you're working with somebody for a while, you're gonna start to know their rhythms, their patterns, how they work, how they think, which is neat.
Yeah. No. So, what's your favorite part of the process?
I mean, okay. Yeah, that's actually not as hard as I thought it is. Really seeing the pages. Like,
okay.
I might be on vacation and I'm looking, on my phone and like, oh, a page came in. Oh my gosh, look at this. Look, baby, you got to see what they drew. That's definitely one of my favorite parts, is just like, I've sent this material off and now I get to see what's coming back. That's really exciting. I also love to, when I get done lettering, I like to send it back. Send them the thing back, like, hey, look, here's how it turned out.
Right.
Here's what I came up with after I saw your stuff. So that's fun.
So you do your own lettering?
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe one day I won't. It just initially, it was one of those things, like I could do it and I could learn and get better along the way, which I have. I think at some point, if I was doing multiple titles, I might try to find somebody. But I do so much editing during the lettering, I'm a little afraid to pass it off.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I do the lettering on my book. So I'm like, you're sitting there, you're like, you put in your line and you're like, let me take that out, let me add that in. And,
as I'm putting it on the page, I'm like, I mean, it's a wordy book. It's a sitcom. So it's going to have some pages where there's going to be a lot. But some pages I go, there's got to be a way I can economize these words better, get more out of less. Cut some stuff out, move some stuff around, or totally just... I had in the last issue, Guano Guy had, this is another thing where the Guano Guy had a lame solution to beat and I was upset myself with how I had it, how I'd done it, because I'd had a different idea. But I wasn't going to ask the artist to go back and redraw it. That's not fair. So instead, there's a post-fight interview, and I just had one of the guys being interviewed say all the things I was thinking. Where the person being interviewed, asked like, "Oh, what do you think of the Guano Guy?" Like, well, it was pretty lame, really. I mean, all he did was hit the guy with a bike. Like, he was a mime. Why didn't you trap him in a mime box, or lasso him with a mime rope, or? And even as the interviews go on to other people, he's still in the background, like, or he could have.
Gotcha. No, that's cool.
Yeah, there was even a shot where like the reporter's yelling off the side, and so I utilized that where she's like, "Yeah, we get it. Okay, we know we could have done other things."
No, that's cool. So I mean, oh, okay. And here's the other half of that question. What is your least favorite part of the process?
Oh, hmm. I think so. I love connecting with people. You know, it's
Mhm.
great fun connecting with people. Right now, there's no shows to do it at. I'm trying to, I think just trying to get the book in front of people is just it's not like my least favorite, as in I don't enjoy it. It's
Mhm.
just such a challenge.
Right.
You know, it's just a difficult thing to figure out.
Hmm.
How can I? Where do I need to put this so that people will see it?
Right.
And where are the people that want this kind of book? You know, how
Hmm.
do I find those people? I'm sure there's enough people in the world who would like the Guano Guy that I could be doing it and rate, you know, that it could be more copies could be going out, more people could be laughing and enjoying it. Uh, you know, it could just be reaching a lot more people and be more of a social fun thing. But it's a challenge to find those people.
Yep. I know the feeling. Marketing is my least favorite part of, doing the books. I love writing. I love dealing with the artists. I love putting it together. I My favorite part is when I actually receive the finished copy. That's my
Mm.
favorite part. But yeah, marketing. Just just going out and just being like, hey, buy my stuff. I'm fantastic.
Yeah. So
you know,
I like making videos, so that's fun because I'll do silly readings from the book and I'll do
right.
a character voice. So that I
Mhm.
do enjoy. But
Oh,
again,
that's good.
where do I put these videos?
Right.
You know,
Mhm.
that's why I'm glad I'm got a team now. I'm glad Terraform picked it
Right.
up, and there's quite a few marketers there, so they're going to help. But I don't have to feel like it's all that aspect is all on me, which is going to be
Right.
really nice.
Oh,
Um,
that's cool.
Another one of my favorite parts is being at a show, sell
Hmm.
somebody a copy, and then see them off to the side reading the thing giggling. Like
Right.
that's such a great feeling.
Hmm.
Because I think as a comics being a visual medium, there's always that battle over who's more important. Is the artist, is the writer? I would say it's both. As a kid, I would have leaned towards the artist. As an adult, I would lean towards the writer. But
Hmm.
it's so close. Like, why argue over it? But
Yeah,
writing a comedy book, I get to see that yes, the words really do matter. You know,
definitely. Yeah. I mean, yeah, definitely as a writer myself, yes. It's a 50-50 because if you have art that's not going to be in the service of the story, it's not going to work. And if you don't have a story that's in the service of your art, it's not going to work. So you need both.
yeah. I mean, I've read some really great stories that had art that I didn't enjoy, and it hurts my ability to be able to, you know, like I want to find out what happens next, but I'm just not liking how this is being told visually. But I've also definitely looked at some amazing art. I mean,
Mhm.
just amazing art, and then meanwhile going like this dial like there's no dialogue here, there's no story. What is none of these are just pen ups.
Mhm. You've been reading Marvel books again?
Marvel's a funny thing because as a kid, I read so many of their books.
Mhm.
Loved Marvel as a kid, and
Yeah.
I haven't touched anything that they have done. I'm having a hard time thinking like how far back has it been since I touched a Marvel book. And the last one I can think of is Squirrel Girl. That was
Wow.
the
Okay.
last one where I picked it up and was like, oh, this is fun. I like
Mhm.
this. You know, this is
Okay.
silly. It's not taking itself too seriously.
Mhm.
It's got a lot of cameos that very
Right.
wackily fit in, like Craven the Hunter shows up and Galactus for a
Uh-huh.
ridiculous book about a girl who can talk to squirrels.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. I'm a Thor fan, so whenever I hear there's a good run being
Oh,
done, I tend to pick it up. So Jason Aaron did a run, I enjoyed it, and now they have Donny Cates doing it, so I'll probably pick up his stuff. But I only pick them up when they're like done and there's like a giant volume of them coming out.
okay.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I like reading one big chunk. I don't do monthlies. I can't do it anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. Marvel, it was also funny because I was a big Captain America fan as a kid, huge
Hmm.
Captain America fan, and which is kind of funny because like I love Batman and I love Captain America, and they are
Hmm.
definitely like they're more two sides of the same coin.
Right.
They operate in a very similar manner, but have
Hmm.
very different like like one of them's such a like happy, bright hero who's out to save the day and feels good about it, and the other one saves the day but always feels miserable about it.
Right.
Well, yeah. Sorry, go on.
Okay. So, with Guano Guy, let's talk a little bit about Guano Guy. How long have you been working on Guano Guy?
So initially, I started in 2010.
Okay.
So it's been a while. I was working at Fantasy Flight Games at the time. It really kind of done some work. I don't want to go back too far, but I'd been in the military. I got injured, and because of that injury, I needed to walk away from living that kind of life. I just couldn't hold up anymore physically. So then I was like, what do I do? So I started, actually at that time, I thought I want to do comics, but I had no clue, like, how do I get in the door? How would I make a career out of that? I couldn't figure it out, but I was like, but I would also like to do games, and I think I can figure that out. So I literally found a list of companies online and just started calling people until somebody said yes and gave me a gig. And repeated the process and got another gig, and then ended up from those gigs, and I found out Fantasy Flight Games was hiring, so I got a job with them. And while I was there, I'm working in creative stuff, creating games, and I started reading webcomics. They were pretty new. Webcomics as a thing was pretty new at the time, and I saw that, like, this is how I can do comics. You know, I can do them myself. You know, I can make them and put them out. I mean, not by myself. Like, I still need an artist. You know, but I mean, like, we don't have to get approval from somebody. We don't have to get somebody else to say, yeah, you can do it, or you can do it, but you got to do it this way. Like, yeah, I could just start doing this and figure it out. So that's when I kicked off on it in 2010, and we worked on it for, I think, 6 months behind the scenes. Ashby Utting and I, that was the original artist, and so he was busy drawing and I was busy writing. And we put together a ton of pages, and then we started putting it out every week. And then when he had to move on, I had another artist who interim. They ended up drawing issue number 1. They did a great job. And then when they told me, like, oh, that's it, you know, I'm going to head off, I was like, shoot. So there was after that, I kept trying to shop the comic. I went from that to, like, okay, I've done a web comic. I have several issues worth of material. I have this issue 1 that I feel really strong about. So I started shopping it for a couple of years and couldn't get a bite on it. There were people who would read it and like it, but even when I would find, like, someone in a company who liked it, and they were like, I'm gonna tell higher up about this, higher up would be like, nah.
If higher up isn't telling you, if it's saying, yeah, come on in, you're
but there'd be somebody at the company who's like, dude, this is great, I love this. So I'm like, well, you know, I mean, higher up is higher up. They have their mind on a bigger picture. And I don't know if you watch Shark Tank. You know, sometimes somebody walks in, they got an idea, and sometimes the people that are the higher up, you know, the people that are investors are going, nah, I don't really see it. And then the person tells them what the sales is, and they go, oh, yeah, what? So yeah, tell me more. So when I got enough no's, I was like, okay, I got to get out there on my own, print this thing, start going to shows, get into the hands of the people, and I got to get those numbers up. If I can find enough people that like this thing, then, you know, one day down the line, I'll be able to go, oh, hold up, let me show you the numbers.
I got something for you.
Yeah. And luckily through doing shows, met a lot of people, made a lot of friends who are good folks that have been doing books too and love them. And now Terraform's going to help out. We're going to get this thing out to the people.
Nice. Now, how many Kickstarters have you done with Guano Guy so far?
This is going to be the third one.
This is going to be the third one. Okay, that's cool. Now, let me ask you this. Now, when it comes down to Kickstarter, like, what was your inspiration to get into Kickstarter? Like, what did you see? Like, what was that campaign that you saw? You said, you know what?
Kickstarter's another one I caught wind of when it started off. I can remember in 2010 hearing about it and being like, huh. But the idea was it was hard for me to mentally conceive of, like, wait, what do you mean you, like, put something up and people give you money? I should have been checking it out earlier and paying attention. But I started doing shows, and then I started looking into Kickstarter and found books that I liked. So I started putting in on other people's books, seeing those books come in. So then the idea of it became real to me of like, okay, I get now what this concept is. So I was doing shows, and I wanted another way to get the book out to people. So I'm at shows, getting the book in people's hands one by one, and then I'm going to stores and getting some copies on the shelves. But here's another platform for me to get this thing out there, maybe attract some more readers. So that was the big thing. Just another way, you know?
No. Now let me.
Sorry, I'm hitting Florida, Georgia area real hard, but how do I hit the rest of the country?
Exactly. Now, so you said you're putting out books in stores. Are you like when you print your books, are you printing, let's say, through a POD printer where you're just printing, let's say, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 copies at a time? Or are you going like whole hog offset and say, all right, I need a couple thousand?
Yeah, so I started with 100 copies at a time.
Okay.
Which seemed like a pretty good, reasonable number. I did do 500 of issue 2 because I could start and amp up, but I want to have copies on the back burner because I also have a lot of copies of issue 1. Those two I put a bit more into. So yeah, I'm willing to invest a bit.
Okay.
Yeah, when I do 100 at a time, those tend to sell out pretty quick.
Okay.
So no problem with that. So that's where I've been kind of feeling all right to jump and go for more.
No, I've been doing this for a while, and when I started, we had no choice but to print 3,000 copies at a time.
Oh yeah, so you got to really be in.
Yeah. So you got to be in it, and you got to be willing to sleep on them. It's a lot of boxes. Lot of boxes. Especially when you do multiple issues, it's a lot of boxes.
Yeah. Doing 100's a lot easier to. It's like, okay, I have 100 copies. Oh, I sold 10 today. Okay.
Right. Yeah. It's easy to manage.
Yeah.
So after your first campaign, what was your biggest takeaway? Like, what was the biggest lesson you learned from that?
Yeah, the biggest thing was more prep work. Because I actually ended up starting a campaign and then ending it early, feeling like I just hadn't done enough to be ready. So then I relaunched 6 weeks later, but really reached out to a lot more people, got interviews going, got book reviews going, stuff that I felt like I hadn't done enough of. So I did that, and that was a big takeaway. And then when I did the second campaign, pandemic started.
Yeah.
So I'm like, the pandemic had just barely started, so it was like it's out there, but it really hadn't mentally hit people. Like how much you need to concern yourself, like how much you need to take it serious. This isn't just a minor thing, take it serious. So I launched the Kickstarter campaign. That's starting to heat up and be more serious. Then my computer died on me. So it's like stacking up. I got a new computer, got software on it, finished up, the lettering and the layouts, still got it off of the printer, and people still got the books the same month they were supposed to get them. So I did feel pretty good about that. So when I did this next one, I'm doing even more prep work. So the book is like when the day it launches, it'll almost be completely done. Like I'm going to have layouts ready, and campaign ends, it's off to the printer. Just try to pad as much more time in case things go wrong.
All right, cool. Now what's exciting you? Like what's really exciting you about this next campaign? Like what's the thing that's really got you amped up about this campaign as opposed to maybe the second or first one?
Ooh, so many things.
I know.
So many things. It's more issue number 3. Because there's 4 issues of short stories, just pure short stories.
Right.
And then issue number 1 is kind of like a stand on its own, but also setting up details for a story to grow. So issue number 2 is the first of that growth, and now issue number 3 is continuing it. The story is evolving. The story details that I wrote years ago are now that I'm actually getting to them and getting to rewrite them and change them as I've got, like I said, as I got the art in my mind, how I think it's supposed to go changes. So seeing the story evolve. So I'm super excited because A, I got Terraform behind me. That's cool. B, I did my first campaign in 2018, and I had to wait until quite a bit later in 2019 to do the next one. Right? There was a whole year off between them.
Right.
But I did a campaign this year, and now I'm going to do another one this year. So I feel like the rock is rolling down the hill.
Mm.
You know, there's momentum this time around. So I'm very excited to see that come to fruition and see how many more people will jump on board and give us a chance, because the consistency is there. It's proven that I'm going to get these books out.
Mm.
And there's a lot more people that are willing to say, like, oh, yeah, I like the Guano Guy. It's a fun book. And hopefully we'll tell a friend.
All right, nice. Now, how did you get involved with Terraform? Like, what brought about that? Like, what process did you have to go through to like get them to say, okay, yes, we want the Guano Guy?
Yeah, so because I did a lot of shows in Florida, Rob saw me a lot.
Okay.
Rob and I met at an Infamous convention.
Infamous?
Infamous, yeah. I'm trying to remember. Oh, it was PopCom.
Okay. What was so infamous about it?
Yeah. So it wasn't well advertised. So I think, I don't know, but I think they had if you build it, they would come. Thinking like, just put on a show, folks are just going to show up. They're just going to know about it somehow. And unfortunately, it doesn't work out. Also, they scheduled it the same weekend that Jim Lee was doing a huge signing, just across town. So, I mean, there's a convention going on, and there's Jim Lee going on.
Right.
And the store where Jim Lee was doing the signing had lines around the block, thousands of people showing up, like, oh my gosh, we get to meet Jim Lee and get a book signed. It was not the right weekend.
Not if you're not going to advertise.
Yeah. No, but the flip side was, I feel like the convention was still a huge win. Because
met Rob.
What?
You met Rob.
That was one, yeah. Despite the low attendance numbers, I actually still had quite a few sales. So of the people that showed up, they seemed to like a funny book. And I met a lot of people that weekend. I met Rob and several other people. I guess I won't go down a list of names, but I just got a chance to really be buddies because we had lots of time to talk.
I would imagine.
We had a lot of time to hey, walk over and talk to each other, check each other's books out. You know, we're sitting there, book exchange, reading each other's work.
Right.
And so Rob and I met there, and he saw me at that convention, and a month later he saw me at another one, and a month later at another one. So he saw that I was another guy like him that's putting in the legwork and really wants to get their book out to people. And he liked my stuff, and I liked his. So we just continued to have a relationship. And I genuinely always thought Rob was going to do something with, because he was doing the Indie Advocate, and he was pushing so hard to get people's books out there. I was just like, at some point, that's going to turn into something bigger. It's gonna, he's just putting in too much, and it keeps building up.
Right.
So once they decided to join Terraform, Rob, unbeknownst to me, was already showing the book to the other members, saying, I like this guy's work, and he liked my energy, and they saw the book, and then also saw some videos that I'd done, because the ad videos from the other two Kickstarters I'd done, and there's a bunch of readings that I did. Just on the last campaign, I did a lot of me reading segments of the book in character voice, so they got to see that.
Right.
And that was it. I was in.
All right. Listen, sometimes that's all it takes. You knew the guy who knew the guy.
Yeah,
that was it.
There was a body of work there, and there were the videos. They could see my energy, and then we just did a little informal meeting for everybody to get to chat and see where folks were at, and it just worked out. I want to make books, and they want to get books out there. So.
No, that's fantastic. And just to let everybody know, we're talking about Rob Anderson from Indie Vault, right? And he's the comics advocate. Great guy. Go check out Indie Vault. Those guys are fantastic. All those dudes. Him, Varian, Mr. Randy Zimmerman. Don't forget the Zim man. But all those guys are fantastic. So yes. All right. Mark, we've been at this for a minute, so we're getting close to the end, but we're not there just yet. All right. So before we get onto my goofy questions, I got a couple of questions to ask you before that. One, is there anything I didn't ask you that you wanted to talk about?
I mean, there's tons of things I like talking about. But,
Well, I mean, those weird fetish things. We don't need to talk about that. But I mean,
no,
I'm talking about comics.
no.
All right.
I mean, I like where. I hate to say I like where the state of comics are, but I kind of do.
Okay.
I feel like the big two, they've just been. I don't know if they've really been doing the work I want to see.
Mm-hmm.
I've been reading tons of independents for a while, so it doesn't really make me sad that they're struggling. Like it's their own fault, and I love the opportunity that it's creating for those of us all us indie guys who have been wanting to put out great books and just need a chance for people to see it. And like, hey, that thing you normally read, that's letting you down and it's going away. Well, we're here. We've got interesting, creative stuff. Check it out.
No, I got you. I sometimes goof on Marvel and DC, but I grew up on them like everybody else. I lived. That was my entryway. It was my gateway in. You understand? And the thing is not so. I don't want to see them go away. I don't want to see them fail. I want parity. Not parody, but parity within the industry, where there's a balance. You understand? I would like Marvel and DC to grow and be, but I would like to see indies and Marvel and DC be 50-50 within the industry. You understand? And then I think it would be a healthier industry. So if one of those things goes away or dies or just diminishes, the other half can pick up that slack. But with indies only being really only about 20%, because Marvel and DC are 35% each, Image is 10%, and then there's the rest of us. And that's not anywhere near where it should be. Because if one of those big sections falls off, I tell everyone, I'm like, look, 35%, think of it like this. If you got a 35% pay cut today, how would you feel? Right?
Not good.
Exactly. Exactly. And if you talk to some businesses, you tell them you're going to use 35% of your business today, right? They'll be like, damn, I'm going to have to probably close my doors because they probably won't be able to survive. So yes, I don't want to see them go away. I just want there to be a better balance.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's.
I mean, if there is a better balance, honestly, it works out better for us, the consumer end of it. Because, I mean, when you're absolutely dominating and there's no competition, it's easy to rest. It's easy to not advance, to not improve. It's easy to get
complacent.
But when you've got to stay hungry, you keep coming out with interesting and great products. And either that's going to happen or...
you just go the way of the dodo.
Yeah.
So, all right. Now, one more thing.
Yeah.
Let everybody know where they can find Mark, your work, Guano Man, all that good stuff. Guano Guy. Sorry. Yes, the guy.
So, if you go on my favorite platform right now, I'm on Facebook. That's where I communicate a ton. There's a lot of stuff that I like to follow there. So you find me on Facebook at Mark Darden if you want to kind of follow everything. And if you just want to follow the Guano Guy, then look up the Guano Guy. And so both of those on Facebook, that's a big way to find me. And then there's Kickstarter. It's already up. Guano Guy #3 plus all 6 back issues. Nice. And you can go and just follow it now so that when it launches in 11 days, you'll get a notification. And please do that. I'd love to see a lot of people following it. We've got some. I'd like there to be a lot more. So go check it out.
All right, cool. So there you go, people. Go check out Guano Guy. Go check out his Kickstarter. Go sign up now. But before we end, we got some wacky questions for you. All right. First, if you were given the choice of any artist, living or dead, right, to illustrate a cover for you, who would you pick?
Barry Winslow Smith.
Barry Winslow Smith. Nice. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That's his work as a kid, and there's so much of it to love.
Right.
I genuinely, I don't know of a period where he drops off. Maybe it happened, but I don't know about it. I don't want to.
No. His stuff has always been consistently good. I mean,
Oh, it's so detailed, so pretty. I mean, everything. The colors, tons of line work. Um, yeah, couldn't go wrong with that.
Nope, not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's they're releasing. I think Fantagraphics is putting out one of his books later on. I don't know if it's later on this year or early next year.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was based. It was based on a project he was supposed to do at Marvel, but they turned down the pitch, and he did it. He changed it and did it as something else. So it should be interesting.
Oh, okay, sure. Like it would have been
right, like
character, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it was like a Hulk thing pitch.
Mm-hmm.
It was something along those lines. Like he did something. I don't know if it was called Ad Astra, where we're supposed to be an X-Men Aurora story.
Oh yeah. He did have a Storm story for sure that he
right. Yeah, so it's going to be along those lines. So it'd be interesting. So but yeah, Barry Windsor Smith, incredible.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, if you're out there listening in the world, check out Barry Windsor Smith's work.
Yes.
He's got some very impressive stuff. His stuff at Valiant. I mean, he was huge in the early days of Valiant.
Yep.
Archer and Armstrong. He did
Archer
the first issue of Exo, Man of War. He did a couple of Eternal Warrior issues. Plus, he did the Solar Man of the Atom backstory, excuse me, that were gorgeous. And he did the bookends to Unity. So he did that. Wolverine.
Wolverine, yeah.
Finally did the Origin.
Mm-hmm.
The
you remember Rune?
And Rune, yeah. I still have the first. I have the before Rune launched, they did these little 2-page segment stories that were in the different Malibu books, and if you got them all, you could send in all the coupons to get it. And Westfield Comics, which still exists, I was ordering through them, and one of their people over there, because I wouldn't meet the deadline, one of the people on their end clipped out the coupons for me, sent it off, and I literally got the Rune issue 0 that you got for clipping out all the coupons with the poster and stickers and all that, thanks to them clipping it and doing it for me, and I got it in my order, and I still have that book.
Right. No, that's awesome, man. That's awesome, man. I'm talking about great customer service.
Yeah, that's customer service.
That's customer service. Yes, it is.
There's no way I'm going to get these comics in time to actually clip the coupons and send it in.
Mm-hmm. So, if you got the golden ticket, right, and they called you up to the big companies, and they said, Mark, pick any book, character, whatever, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be just Marvel and DC. It could be anything throughout the industry. What book would you want to do?
So, I'd like to do a Deadpool one-shot where he basically ends up in Groundhog's Day.
Okay.
Yeah. I just which comedy all the way. That'd be a lot of fun. I'd like to do Batman 66. I've got a great story sitting on my computer for that. I've already written these. They're on my computer right now. So when the Roto guy gets big enough, Marvel, DC, call me. Stories are ready to go. Once my name matters enough to you. Also, there's a couple other things I would want to do, but if I could do a Lobo Swamp Thing crossover, I just think there's so much gold to mine from a wild just that team up. I could have a lot of fun with that.
Okay, that's cool. Fair enough. That sounds like fun. All right, so now I have some comparatives for you.
Okay.
I'll softball you in the beginning. We'll work our way in.
Okay.
You know what? I'm going to hit you with this one because you mentioned both of these characters, right? So here we go. Captain America or Batman?
Tough. Ooh. Man. I mean, if I had to pick one of them to beat, I'd go with Captain America. Sure. Okay. Just a better life. He's just living a way better life than Batman. Even if he's kind of a stick in the mud sometimes, he's still having a better time. Yeah. Although, to be fair, Batman's having a pretty good nightlife. I mean, on the night he takes off,
he is a playboy.
Yeah, that's I can deal with some of that. Yeah, that wouldn't be too bad. But yeah, I'd take Captain America if I could be one of the two of those. If I was going to work on a book, though, if I had to pick between those, I'd take Batman. Because I have plenty of ideas of what to do with Batman. And honestly, as much as I love Captain America, I have no clue where to go with him.
Right.
I was actually a little disappointed when they turned him when he ended up as an agent of Hydra due to that whole thing.
Oh yeah.
I was actually sad they reversed it, because even though it's like tragic to
Mhm.
have that happen, it's such an interesting place to go.
Right.
I love when a creator comes in and does something really different outside the box and does it well, and then I
Mhm.
hate when the company just reverses it and undoes it.
Oh yeah. Wow.
You know,
Mhm.
like, yeah, there's growing pains, but keep going with it. It's interesting.
Mhm.
Don't
And
read the same thing I already read 10 years ago.
yeah, it's funny because I remember when the outrage first came out, I was like, "What is everybody outraged for? 6 months, they're gonna reset it."
Yeah. What are you worried about?
Exactly. So what's the big deal? You know, if we're lucky, we'll get an interesting story out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're
You know?
lucky, you'll get a year and it'll be interesting. But
Right.
I mean, as much as it's like, oh, what?
Mhm.
Well, I mean, that is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
He would make a pretty awesome villain.
Mhm. Have you ever read Ed Brubaker's run on Captain America? He,
No, I haven't.
okay. If you ever get a chance, there
Yeah.
will probably be that was for me perhaps the best Captain America run like in forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's the one that came up with Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Most of those first 2 or 3 movies based on his stuff, especially that first movie, is based on what the work he did. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I should, and like it's on my radar. Like, I definitely thought about it before, about reading
Mhm.
it, and just haven't gotten around to it.
Listen, trust me, I know exactly how you feel. There's a lot of books out there.
Yeah, there is.
All right, Godzilla or Gamera?
Well, I really only have one choice there. Who's the other guy?
Gamera,
Yeah.
the giant turtle.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, I guess I would, because I know, like, there's lots of people who love those, and I'm not as big into them.
Not as big
I
as
think
the
the
couch.
closest I read to it is Xander Cannon
Mhm.
did his own book.
Right.
And yeah, Kaiju Max.
Kaiju Max, yes.
Yeah. And I read his stuff, and that was, well, I shouldn't say it was a lot of fun. It's actually, like, it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun, but it's actually,
Brutal.
it's actually pretty brutal. It's a prison book, and they're not pulling punches just because it looks cute.
Right. Sometimes it's that way, you know.
Yeah, there was a hilarious bit of all the lizards, like, working out. You know, all the big giant monsters working out, and like their gym equipment was hilarious. Like, there was a treadmill with like buildings that pop up, so like you're stopping the buildings as you treadmill. So I go with Godzilla.
Okay, all right. Fair enough. Spock or Data?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's an interesting question. I suppose I would go with Data. He's probably not going to try to take over the ship. Spock, I feel like I'd have to watch him a bit. Like, I could see me in Jim Kirk role, and I'd be watching my back for Spock. That guy's a bit shifty.
Okay, fair enough.
Although I do love both shows, and in the rewatches, I'm more original Star Trek for rewatch, because it's just such campy fun. And I enjoy that. Versus the second series, I watched very much as a kid, like as they're coming out, was watching them, and they're still fun, but they also are quite a bit more serious.
Right.
They're both great. They seriously are both great. They're just different.
Hellboy or Spawn?
Ooh, also both great. I'm gonna have to go with Hellboy, though. When I read that was a book. Once I started reading, I was like, it made me want to read other things. And I mean, like I wanted to read this, and like, and the things that he's touching on, I want to go pick that up and read that, because it's so fascinating the way he pulled in all this different lore from different cultures, and then, you know, he did his own thing with it.
Yeah,
but it's such a fascinating read. I would have to go with that one.
Okay, cool. Fair enough. I like Hellboy. Lord of the Rings or Star Wars?
Lord of the Rings. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They're both big inspirational pieces. But I read Lord of the Rings in elementary school.
Mm.
I saw The Hobbit, the cartoon, so I picked up the book like that week, read it in a week. First book I'd ever read, and I was shocked that I could read a book in a week. That surprised me. But it wasn't because I was a fast reader. It was because that was all I was doing.
Right.
Like the second I don't have to do something else, I've got the book out and I'm reading, trying to get more of it done. And as soon as I got done with that, I'm like, well, I love this. What else has the author done? Lord of the Rings. Okay, that's next.
Right.
Didn't occur to me that it's supposed to be really high reading level. So I started reading The Lord of the Rings, finished it before I finished elementary school, and absolutely loved it. And it's so inspiring in the genre of fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a lot more, like I have a fantasy book on the back burner, a fantasy comic book.
Right.
Don't have a sci-fi. So, which is interesting because there's a lot of sci-fi stuff that I grew up with and love, but I've never had a sci-fi concept. So fantasy stuck with me way more than sci-fi.
All right. That's cool. Stan Lee or Jack Kirby?
Jack Kirby.
Why?
They both had a lot to offer the comic world.
Yes.
Jack Kirby sat at his house, and so the legends go, just drew and drew and drew and drew. And the stuff he drew, and even though you might not have read his words on the page, he drew that story practically all by himself with very little input, and he put a lot of notes in the margins for the people that were receiving the art to go off of. And the ideas that he created continue to exist in the industry today. And people have gone back to the well of the things that Kirby came up with for story after story. And he's influenced a lot of creators.
Oh, yeah.
Like, for instance, I love Eric Larson's Savage Dragon. And one of the things I loved about it as I was reading it is it had Kirby influence. And so I got to like kind of see Kirby's ideas, but through Eric Larson's lens.
Right.
And then Mr. Miracle Man was brought back, great run, and New Gods, and DC has gone back to, they've used the New Gods numerous times. Dark Side, over and over. Just fantastic work. On the flip side, you cannot discredit or discount how much Stan Lee was good at talking to kids through words, through images, through interviews. I mean, that guy could light up a room, and he got a lot of people excited about books, and he drew in attention from other sources. So you can't forget about the importance of that either. But but I'd definitely go Team Kirby for sure.
All right, cool. Now we've done a few of these, so we'll do two. We'll do a couple more, and then we'll wrap it up.
All right.
John Byrne or George Perez?
Oh, that's also that's tough. Yeah. George Perez, he did a ton of really great work. I mean, I went back and read Titans and his run not that long ago, and man, those pages. They're so full of detail. Like, if you're an artist out there, if you haven't seen George Perez's work, like, go read some of his classic stuff, or don't go look at it. Even if you don't want to read the words, just look at the page and see all the characters and the details. It's so impressive. But I also love John Byrne. Like, there's not one that I would side with really, because I've seen John Byrne. Like, you can go into a comic store and if you flip to a dollar bin or whatever. I mean, I'm not saying I'm just saying. You can go to a dollar bin, pick up a stack of John Byrne books, and you can pick up Avengers, and you can pick up Hulk. You can pick up that he went and did Wonder Woman, and he draws all these people great. You can put him on whatever book, and he's going to draw the people great, and they're going to look awesome. So, plus I was a huge fan of Next Men when that came out. And like, yeah, sure, I get what he did, but still, it was a good slant.
Yep.
It was a realistic, gritty version. So I loved X-Men. I'd have flipped a coin on that one. I guess I'd go John Byrne because I experienced a lot more of his stuff as a kid growing up versus George Perez. It's like I came to know him later. I went back and found his stuff versus I grew up experiencing John Byrne in the moment. But I like a lot of stuff.
Okay, cool. Fair enough. Fair enough. Sandman or Swamp Thing, and we're talking about the Alan Moore run on Swamp Thing.
Oh, okay. Those are both dense reads. Those are both difficult. Those are both tough. I guess I would have to go with Sandman, because I got also because he had Sam Keith. I mean, I know he wasn't there for long, but I like those pages. I like Sam Keith. I wish he could have been around longer. I know that's not really the question, but still.
No, I feel you. I feel you.
Yeah. I get both of them also. Sandman, that wasn't the character. Like when Neil Gaiman starts working on it, like he basically creates a whole new character, and he uses some of the pieces of the old character, but he basically makes a whole new thing, and that's really impressive. Meanwhile, Alan Moore takes this character and twist it in a whole new direction. So they both did something very different with it and explored it in a new way. I'd go with Sandman.
Okay.
But it's a coin toss. Like it's so close.
It's like I tell everybody, there are no right or wrong answers.
Yeah.
It's just all preference. I mean, it's one of these things where it's just like, I ask these crazy questions because it's just like, it's interesting to hear what people have to say about them, because you just never know where people are going to come from. Yeah. So, it's just interesting to hear, the different perspectives, on these questions. And it's also really interesting sometimes to see, this didn't happen to you, by the way, but I sometimes get a blank look like, what are you talking about? Who are those people? Because when I break out a question like Isaac Asimov or Robert Heinlein, some people get it, and some people don't know who Robert Heinlein is.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know who Robert Heinlein is. He's a writer. He's a science fiction writer from the 50s.
Right here.
Right.
Also, when that kind of thing gets asked, I like to ask, well, tell me about it, because maybe I do know it, and just the name's not clicking.
Well, here you go. Starship Troopers.
Oh, yeah.
He wrote the book that the movie's based on. Now, mind you, the book has very little to do with what that movie is, but there are some similarities, but a lot of differences.
Yeah. I remember I actually watched a video about how it was really different, but the movie did kind of take what he did. They did a different version of it, but he wasn't.
There wasn't the satire that you had in the movie. It wasn't in the book. The book was a little bit more straight-laced. It was a bit more military-based and more political.
Okay.
Right, but there wasn't the crazy satire that Verhoeven put in.
Oh, yeah, that very over-the-top satire, which is a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
I was rewatching that film recently. It's funny that it comes up, but I was rewatching it recently, and it's a fun, ridiculous film.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's like, he's sitting there going, how can I murder these beautiful people the most horrible way I can? He's like, he hired the most fantastic looking cast, and he just murders them one at a time. It's like, this guy's crazy. So yeah. But
that's another one of those, like, stop casting people in their late 20s to play high schoolers, please. Like, as a kid, and adults would tell me about it and be like, what are you talking about? Now, as an adult, I look back and I'm like, you're right. That does create body image issues. It does create self-esteem issues, because you can't be as cool as that person because they're not a kid.
Right.
That's a grown adult who's done some things and learned some things. And
has put a lot of time in the gym.
Yeah, and put a lot of time in the gym, a lot of products.
Right.
They've worked on their poses. They've looked at the right way to look at the camera. You're not going to be a 16-year-old squealing into the high school on your motorcycle and get off just the right way and zip your jacket down. And, all right, buddy.
Yep.
Yeah,
this is not going to happen. But, Hollywood is Hollywood.
Oh gosh, I appreciated that about oh gosh, now I'm forgetting the name of the movie. Where's where the kids are trying to get to just trying to get to a party. They're trying to get to the end of the year party, and they have the agreement to like meet girls. Bad something. Jonah Hill. So.
Oh, no, I probably haven't seen it.
Oh, okay. Oh. No, but anyway, I was going to say I appreciated that they had people who legitimately looked high school or very close, like close enough that when somebody kissed, I was like, oh, no, no.
Gotcha.
I don't watch young people.
Right. Don't have to be creepy about it.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. All right. So, Mark, we made it to the end. You know, it was great talking to you. So, one more time, though, please let everybody know where they can find you and your work.
Okay. So, go check out the Guano Guy. Oh, go to Terraform. Go to Terraform and just look it up on Facebook, or you can Google it, because issue number 1 of the Guano Guy, the PDF is on there for free. So you can just get it, read it. If if it makes you laugh, think about supporting the Kickstarter, because I want to keep making these things. So help me out. Just help me out a little. But it's there. You get a shot to, it's like a free sample. It's like you're walking by and someone's like, hey, would you like to taste this? Oh, that is good. I think I will get some more of that. So go to Terraform, get that free PDF, and see if you enjoy it. Maybe it's your thing, and laugh. It probably should be. Check me out on Facebook, Mark Darden, or look up the Guano Guy. Either way, that'll work. And the Kickstarter, September 15th. Kickstarter's launching. So you could go ahead and go to Kickstarter now and start following so that you'll be notified when it kicks off on Kickstarter. 7 issues, almost 200 pages of material. So it's up there. There's a lot to catch up on. If you keep waiting, I'm just going to have more stuff for you to read, and the further behind you're going to be, and the more time you're going to have to dedicate to this later. So get in now before it's a mountain of material.
All right. Awesome. Thank you, Mark. So listen, go to Mark's website. Go check out Terraform. Also, go check out Comic-Con. That's Pops Van Zant. He's on Facebook. Go check that out. He has a huge show going on for the next 2 days for Saturday and Sunday. That's some huge event. So it's going to be awesome. But go check out Guano Guy. Go check out the Oswald Chronicles. Hit like, hit subscribe, and I'll talk to all you guys later. Thank you. Have a good night, guys.
Thank you so much.